So in the past, when I have done quilting and showed a little snippet of it in, I guess, a past video, I was quilting around, you know, inside an edge like I did here. In this quilt, I am doing a combination of, it's about a 1/2 inch inside the seam line. That's a really nice way to do some hand quilting in this area. But I'm also doing stitch in the ditch. And for anybody that's curious as to what stitch in the ditch is, these are the ditches, in essence the seams. Oops, let me make sure that you're getting this in. And you're just quilting along inside that seam. And then you're pulling it. And the hoop helps keep everything nice and taut, but it can sometimes be a little too taut when it's in the hoop, and so backing off the tension just a bit. By the way, where I'm stitching right now, there is a bunch of seams. There's 4 seams meeting up, and so there's a lot of fabric, so it's hard to sometimes get it started. But just stitching in the ditch, embedding the stitches so they really won't be seen much. I don't mind having my stitches seen, and I don't like dealing with all of the extra layers of fabric that are in the ditches. So I have moved away from doing this most of the time. For this quilt, the only way that I'm going to get it quilted in the time frame that I've allowed myself is to stitch in the ditch, as opposed to stitching. Normally what I do is I'd stitch inside of each of the squares and then do a couple passes of stitches inside the larger blocks. But if I did that, it would be very, very heavily quilted in comparison to right now. The quilting will be enough to hold everything stable, but it will also leave it a little bit on the puffy, softer side. So you have to make choices, and in my case this time I want it to be a softer, less stitched, faster quilt. So I'm just stitching into, or as close as possible, into the ditch. Just like that. And then I pull through. And I have no idea if you can actually see any of it. So, for anybody that's asking what is stitching in the ditch, this is stitching in the ditches, or in the seam. I don't think stitching in the seam sounds as good as stitch in the ditch. When you feel, because of the way I've pressed the fabric, it does create a little bit of a ditch, a little dip, I guess you could say. So, there you have it. And there's my little thimble. That's what I've been using. And I did discover these, I've cut them down, but these are little finger grippers. They're silicone finger grippers that you can find. They are about like this long, but that makes my fingers sweaty. And they do work. Somebody suggested these to me, and I gave them a try. They do work. They do protect my underside hand. Alright, well, there's a quick little tip on stitching in the ditch.